Fnaf has tons of characters, some good, some bad, some questionable, but our question here is, who's the scariest? To figure that out, we're going to have a roster of who I think are the scariest, and I'll be giving them a score out of 10 on 3 factors: how scary their design is, how scary their lore is, and how scary their gameplay mechanic is. We're going to add these together to give us our final score for that animatronic. And our candidates for the possible scariest animatronic are Bonnie, Golden Freddy, the Puppet, Springtrap, Nightmare Fredbear, Nightmarrione, Nightmare Balloon Boy, Ennard, Circus Baby, and Wind Up Music Man. And with that, let's not waste time and let's get right into it. Please like and subscribe. Now our first character is Bonnie from Fnaf 1. Now looking at Bonnie's design, he is very unsettling, but there are definitely more terrifying designs out there. He resembles a blue rabbit that looks quite old and run down. But something interesting about Bonnie is that he did give Scott Cawthon nightmares when he was actually developing the game. So with all this taken into account, I'd have to give Bonnie a 6 on design, since there are definitely more scarier designs within the franchise. Now looking at Bonnie's lore, so of course Bonnie is possessed by the spirit of Jeremy after William Afton took his life. And the reason Bonnie attacks you isn't exactly confirmed, but some theories are that he thinks you're William Afton, or that his spirit's just really angry. Of course, this is only the first game, so the lore isn't that complicated, and we don't have that much to go off of. So for lore, I'll give Bonnie a 5. Now for gameplay. So Bonnie's mechanic in Fnaf 1 is that he's present in all the nights and will make his way to the left door at your office, and when he is at your left door, you just simply close it to get rid of him, and if you don't, he jump scares you. Now I have to say that Bonnie is really easy to handle and has a very simple mechanic and isn't really that scary in terms of gameplay. Of course, he does look pretty disturbing on the cameras, especially that secret one where, you know, he's really close up on his face and his eyes are black. I think that's quite terrifying. And his jump scare is good, I will give it does have a good jump scare. But with all this in mind, and with how simple, easy and just not scary his gameplay mechanic is, I have to give him a 4 for gameplay. Now with a 6.5, a 5 and a 4, that gives Bonnie a score of 15.5 out of 30. Next character is going to be Golden Freddy from Fnaf 1. I'm just going to be the Fnaf 1 Golden Freddy. I'm not going to, do the withered Golden Freddy from Fnaf 2. Now looking at his design, it is definitely scary to say the least. He resembles an old Fredbear costume in a sort of sitting down position. He has pitch black eyes and a tilted head with his mouth wide open, which could almost certainly unsettle the player. Not to mention he does look very dirty, very tattered, very beat up. So for design, I'll give Golden Freddy a solid 7. Now for the lore. So Golden Freddy is actually possessed by 2 spirits, which is the vengeful spirit Cassidy and the crying child. So Cassidy was another one of Afton's 5 victims, and because of this, Golden Freddy is extremely angry and tries to attack the player out of just blind rage. Yeah, even after the souls are freed in the good ending, Golden Freddy refuses, and her or his soul is never really set free, and is always after revenge and to torture William Afton. Now of course Golden Freddy is one of the most important characters and has a pretty terrifying lore, and because of that I'll give him a 9 for lore. Now for gameplay, this one is pretty disappointing. So in Fnaf 1 he has a 1 in 100,000 chance of showing up in your office, so you'll probably never see him even if you do a full playthrough of Fnaf 1. But if he does show up, you just put your camera up and he's gone. Fail to, and he jump scares you and your game crashes. Now the gameplay definitely isn't that scary, but I suppose it could catch the player off guard as he or her doesn't really show up that much. So for gameplay, I guess I'll give him a 3. So Golden Freddy now is a 7, a 9 and a 3, meaning his or her total is 19 out of 30. Next we have the puppet from Fnaf 2. Now looking at the puppet's design, it is very slender and almost humanoid looking, as its most terrifying feature is definitely its almost, say, mask-like face, which has pitch black eyes, purple tears going down its face, and bright red dots on its cheeks. Thing is, though, I would say this design is a lot more disturbing than scary. So yeah, I know. I think they have different meanings, but it can still definitely frighten the player. So I'll give the puppet a 6 for design, I guess. Now, for lore, the puppet is actually possessed by the daughter of Henry Emily, called Charlotte Emily, who was the first victim of William Afton, and her spirit possessed the puppet after the puppet short-circuited because of the rain outside, allowing Charlotte to possess the puppet when she did die. The puppet, I keep saying puppet, I hate that, but the puppet was the one who put the spirits inside of the Fnaf 1 animatronics. However, I believe the intentions of her are seen as too good and ethical, as she's basically giving life to innocent dead kids, which is surprisingly going to dock her some points. So taking this into account, I can't really give her lore above a 4 really. I know she's a really important character. The lore is more about her being heroic than her being scary. Now for gameplay, so in Fnaf 2 the puppet is definitely pretty annoying, as you have to keep her music box wound up, and if the music box does run out, she jump scares you. Now I will have to say that this mechanic is a little bit scary, especially with the fact that music box music is pretty disturbing, as it's sort of like a nursery chime, you know. But the big problem with it is that Fnaf 2 just isn't a scary game, so there isn't really any atmosphere, and the reason Fnaf 2 isn't scary because of all the animatronics, how hectic it is, but I'm not going to get into that. Also, you sort of know when you're about to be jump scared because you can see the puppet in your hallway getting closer to you, so the element of surprise isn't really there, as you know you're going to get jump scared. So factoring all that in, I can't really give the puppet more than a 5 for gameplay. So now a 6, a 4 and a 5 give the puppet a final score of 15 out of 30. Next up we have Springtrap from Fnaf 3, who I believe is going to be a contender for the scariest animatronic. Now looking at his design, he appears as a beat up, tattered former spring bonnie suit that is now a pretty disgusting green colour with some clear tearings and half an ear missing. He has a row of very disturbing and almost human-like teeth and like sort of glowing eyes that, you know, they are fucking terrifying. And if you actually look at the tears in the suit, you can spot chunks of flesh, as you know, this is Afton's corpse inside of an animatronic, and that is a pretty awesome fucking design, and I think Scott Cawthon executes this really well. So for Springtrap's design, I'll give him a solid 8. Now for lore, Springtrap was formerly serial killer William Afton, and when William snuck into the pizzeria to dismantle the animatronic suits, which meant the spirits were freed from the animatronics, the spirits chased and cornered him into a safe room, where William tried to protect himself by hiding inside a spring-lock bonnie suit. However, because of the room being wet due to raindrops or whatever, even though I have no fucking clue how rain got inside a building, like, there's a roof, rain doesn't go through a roof. So anyway, because of the room being wet, the spring locks inside the suit failed, impaling William, killing him, turning him into a rotting corpse inside the suit, now called Springtrap. Now this lore, in my opinion, is almost perfect and a very disgusting, gory, amazing backstory for Springtrap. So I'll give it a 9.5, only because of my little rain nitpick, and because it's sort of unknown exactly why William went into the suit in the first place. Obviously it was protection, but he might have done it to you know, scare the spirits, as he did kill the spirits in that suit. But it's sort of unknown, and some people question, was it a really good idea to go in the suit? So that's the only reason I'm giving it a 9.5, but still fantastic lore. Now for gameplay, so in Fnaf 3, Springtrap is the only character that can actually kill you, and to deter him from your office you must play audio recordings in different places in the pizzeria to lure him to those audio recordings. Now I think this gameplay can get a little bit tedious, a little bit repetitive, but I do like the fact that due to the shit quality of the cameras and the very greenish colour of the place, Springtrap is difficult to see as he's sort of camouflaging. So that sort of adds to the tension, as you don't really know where he is a lot of the time, but we do have to mention his terrible jump scare. It's honestly terrible. All he does is just walk over to you, no like jumping at you, no biting, he just walks over to you and his eyes widen a bit. So with all that into account, I'll give Springtrap a 6 for gameplay. There isn't really a lot to say. Of course he can go into the vents and stuff, but that's not that different from you know, when you're going through the pizzeria, so I'll give him a 6. Now an 8, a 9.5 and a 6, that gives our boy a score of 23.5 out of 30. Now we have Nightmare Fredbear from Fnaf 4. Now his design is fucking terrifying. He resembles a Fredbear animatronic, only just tattered and torn up. His body seems to be split up into 2 parts connected by a sort of mouth and his chest. I know, it's weird. But his most terrifying feature has got to be his face. He has 2 red glowing eyes and a massive mouth filled to the brim with razor sharp teeth. The only nitpick I have of this design is that it's a little bit too colourful, but other than that, I have to give his design our first 10 of the video. Now for Nightmare Fredbear's lore, he has the same lore as all the other Nightmare animatronics. Now the only issue is we don't actually know the backstory of the nightmares. We don't know if they're real or not. Believe it or not. But one theory is that they are actually real robots designed to scare the player, who in this theory is believed to be Michael Afton, as punishment for accidentally killing his younger brother, the crying child. But there is also a possibility that the Nightmare animatronics are just illusion discs on like weird things to make them look scary. So they're not actually scary, they're just like illusions. And the other theory is that it's all a dream and you're playing as the crying child just before he dies and you're getting a bunch of nightmares. Now, I have to give him a 5 since there is no confirmed lore, but the theories are, I guess, sort of disturbing and sort of scary, so yeah, I guess a 5 is good. Now for gameplay, Nightmare Fredbear appears on night 5 as the only animatronic that can kill you. He can appear at both doors, the bed and the closet. If he's at the doors, then you have to listen for a quiet little laughter, and if you hear it, then you shut the door. But if you shine your flashlight, then he'll kill you. If he's at your bed, like his head's just resting on your bed, just shine your flashlight at him and he'll go away. If he's in the closet, then you have to shut the door until you hear him leave. Now, Fnaf 4 is a terrifying game and definitely the scariest in the franchise. And Nightmare Fredbear's gameplay mechanic is equally as fucking terrifying. The breathing mechanic, or laughing mechanic in this case, is so fucking scary. It's very faint and tension is really high at that point. So, with all that into consideration, I can't give him less than a 10 for gameplay. So now a 10, a 5, and a 10 give our boy a 25 out of 30. So currently, Nightmare Fredbear is in the lead. Now next up we have Nightmarrione. Now his design is just a much more terrifying nightmare version of the puppet, with a very thin black body which sort of resembles a skeleton with a sort of rib cage and like little tentacles going off his bony arms. Now looking at his face, it is just basically the puppet, except it has black and white. It's black and white, and the eyes are a lot bigger with a small white pupil inside. Not to mention, he has a small row of teeth and still has the tears. Now this design is fucking terrifying. The rib cage and the tentacles are just so bloody disturbing, and it looks like it's straight out of my bloody nightmares. So guess what? I'm going to give him a 10 for design. Now for lore, the same as Nightmare Fredbear, there isn't actually any confirmed lore. What makes it even harder is that Nightmarrione is actually just a reskin for Nightmare in the Fnaf 4 Halloween update. So the lore is going to be the exact same as all the Nightmare animatronics, meaning the score is going to be once again a 5. Now for gameplay, I'm actually going to go off his gameplay for Help Wanted, since in Fnaf 4 he's just a Nightmare reskin, and in Help Wanted he actually has his own like unique mechanic. So in Help Wanted, Nightmarrione has his own level where only he can kill you, he's the only enemy, where he'll go to both doors and you have to shut the door before he gets through. You have to do this while scaring away the tentacles that come out your closet, the bed, and a very inconvenient crack in the roof using a flashlight you have. A very annoying issue is that your flashlight can sometimes go really funny and just be really weak or just turn off. Not to mention, this entire level is pitch black and the tentacles have really fucking disturbing sound effects. My only issue is that since the jump scares in Help Wanted aren't really that good, since they're in VR, and I don't really like the jump scare scream. I don't think it's that loud and menacing and doesn't make you jump. But the tentacle mechanic and the fact it's in pitch black is fucking terrifying. So taking this all into account, I'll have to give Nightmarrione a 9 for gameplay. Now a 10, a 5 and a 9 give Nightmarrione 24 out of 30. Just falling short of Nightmare Fredbear. Next up we have Nightmare Balloon Boy. Now I had to choose between him or Plushtrap since they have the same mechanic in Fnaf 4. But I thought Nightmare Baby was scarier, so I chose him. Now looking at his design, he's more or less a fat balloon boy with very disturbing fingers that are just really long and bony. Now his most terrifying attribute has got to be his face, as he has a massive jaw that just takes up basically all of his face, with tons of razor sharp teeth, and his face is quite wide with 2 red spots on his cheeks and red glowing eyes. His design is definitely disturbing and scary. Now my only issue is that, I mean, his face and fingers are scary, just the rest of his body looks kind of goofy because he's kind of fat. So I'll give him an 8 for design. Now for lore, just like the rest of the nightmares, no lore, but the theories are sort of scary, so once again a 5. Now for gameplay, Nightmare Baby acts the exact same way as Plushtrap in the Fun with Plushtrap and Fun with Nightmare Baby. He sits to the ends of a long hallway with doors going off to the side on the hallway, You have to lure him towards you and get him to stop on a big red X in front of you. He only moves in darkness and freezes when you shine your flashlight on him. Let him get too close and he jump scares you. Successfully stop him on the X and you win. Now this gameplay definitely has a lot of tension, as you sort of have to guess when he's going to stop. Not to mention you are in complete darkness when the flashlight is off. My only issue is that this is sort of easy to do. So factoring all of this in, I'll have to give this gameplay a 7.5. Now an 8, a 5 and a 7.5 give Nightmare Baby a final score of 20.5 out of 30. Now moving on to sister location, our next character is Ennard. Now his design is just a bunch of mashed up endoskeletons merged into a human-like figure with a bunch of wires and cables sticking out. He has a big red button on like the top of his torso and a clown mask where his singular eyeball is visible. He also has a yellow and green party hat on his head. Now I will say this design is very scary, but something about it doesn't give me nightmares, not like the Nightmare designs. It just doesn't really stick out like the Nightmare animatronics. So I can't really give him more than 8 for design. Now looking at the lore, Ennard is a mixture of all the Funtime animatronics merged together. So in sister location he pretends to be Circus Baby, and in Night 5 eventually lures you into the scooping room where he scoops out your insides and climbs inside you, just keeping you alive. So now you're basically a rotting corpse that's still alive, and Ennard is slowly killing you from the inside, turning your skin purple, making you smell and rot like a dead person, until he decides he's had enough, jumps out your body and eventually becomes Molten Freddy. Now some people hate this lore. I'm not really sure why, but maybe because it's a bit wacky, but I really like it. I think it's disgusting, gory and most importantly scary, so I'll give him a 9 for lore. Now for gameplay, I'll go off his secret night in sister location where he's the only animatronic for that night, and he can either go to your left or right door or a vent at the top of your office. He moves when you hear a squeaking noise, and if you fail to shut your door when he's there, he jump scares you. Now this gameplay is a lot more frustrating than scary, believe me, I fucking hate this night. But I suppose he could catch you off guard when he jump scares you, as there isn't really any warning. Not to mention the actual jump scare scream is brilliant and absolutely terrifying. However, I'll have to give him a 5 for gameplay. So a 9, an 8 and a 5 give him a final score of 22 out of 30. Now our next character is Circus Baby from sister location. Now if we look at her design, she is bloody massive. I think she's like 7'2", which if you've played Help Wanted and seen her in person, you know how big she is. So she looks like a circus clown with red boots with little bells on them, red skirt. Her body is mainly like red and white. She has an ice cream holder made to kill children. Hold ice cream. A red microphone, a very humanoid looking face with red spots on her cheeks, green eyes and orange hair. So I think this design is going for a much more disturbing look, especially with the humanoid face, which looks plain creepy. So taking this all into account, I'll give Circus Baby a 7 for design. Now looking at lore, she was designed by William Afton for rental parties and his true intention to kill kids. However, his daughter Elizabeth Afton really liked Circus Baby but didn't actually know that she was made for killing kids. So one day she snuck in to see Circus Baby and died from a large claw that came out of Circus Baby's chest. Now Elizabeth possesses Circus Baby, then eventually became part of Ennard, then got kicked out of Ennard and became Scrap Baby, to eventually burning and Elizabeth's soul getting freed. Now I'd say this lore is pretty scary, mainly because of Elizabeth's death and how this was shown in the minigame. So I'll give Circus Baby a 6.5 for lore. Now for gameplay. Circus Baby can't actually kill you in this location and is only an enemy in Ultimate Custom Night and Help Wanted and Help Wanted 2. But technically in Help Wanted 2 the plush babies kill you, and since UCN animatronics are just really simple and not scary, I'll go off her minigame in Help Wanted. Now in Help Wanted, her minigame is that you're in a closet, and when Circus Baby spots you in the closet, she'll run towards you and you have to close it. But if she gets to you before you close it, you die. But if you close the closet for too long, the plush babies kill you because they're in the dark. Now the scary parts of this game has got to be the setting, which is the Fnaf 4 bedroom, and Circus Baby's towering fucking 7'2" height. But other than that, this minigame's actually really easy. I beat it on my first try, it's really easy, and it's just not that scary. So I'll give it a 4 for gameplay. So a 7, a 6.5, and a 4 gives Circus Baby 17.5 out of 30. Now finally, for our last character, we have the Wind-Up Music Man. Now some of you may be saying, oh, this guy isn't scary. Well, yes he is, and I'm going to show you why. Now look at his design, he's just a small music man, just more beat up and tattered. The lower half of his body resembles a spider, and his head is really fucking disturbing. There's a chipped tooth, really stylish hat, pitch black eyes and a very human looking nose, and his teeth are like piano keys. He has 2 large cymbals that he crashes together and is just very dirty. My only issue is that he's kind of small, which is sort of funny, so I'll give him a 7.5. For lore, so they were in the Rockstar Row gallery and Vanny broke them out so they can attack Gregory. It's very short, it's very simple, but I guess it's a little scary seeing him missing in the gallery, seeing them broke out and stuff, so I'll give lore a 3, I suppose. Now for gameplay, in Security Breach, you have to sometimes use vents to traverse the Pizzaplex, and sometimes in the vents you'll be chased by these little fuckers. Now I honestly do find this scary, as the sound effects they make are like little spiders, which like, yeah, no thank you. But I don't actually know how this guy kills you. You know, he's literally tiny. Anyway, for gameplay I'll give him a 5, I guess. So a 7.5, a 3 and a 5 give this little guy a score of 15.5, which is actually more than the puppet. So now our final rankings. At number 10 we have the puppet with 15 out of 30. Number 9 we have Wind Up Music Man with 15.5 out of 30. Number 8 we have Bonnie, who also was 15.5 out of 30. Number 7 we have Circus Baby with 17.5 out of 30. At number 6 we have Golden Freddy with 19 out of 30. Number 5 we have Nightmarioone BB with 20.5 out of 30. Number 4 we have Ennard with 22 out of 30. Number 3 Springtrap with 23.5 out of 30. Number 2 Nightmarioone with 24 out of 30. And number 1, the scariest Fnaf animatronic, Nightmare Fredbear with 25 out of 30. And that is going to be the video. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and with that, see you lads.